What's up, everybody? I'm John Middlekauff. You know what I need you to do. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We got content for days reacting to every NFL game all the time, every single day. Subscribe, like the videos. Let's go. Very excited, fired up. This man has, been up well before me, and I feel like I got up pretty early this morning. Chicago native, New York resident. You can find him on Good Morning Football and everywhere. Kyle Brandt, what's up, bro?
Man. John, I'm thrilled to be here. I'm a fan of yours. I follow yours. I'm thrilled to see that you have the real tasteful lighting and the really expensive looking microphone. You're technologically savvy and your content's great. And thanks for having me.
No, bro. Coward and the Volume had to send some people out because I would have had the USB mic. I would have had a Logitech camera. It would have
big ass ring light shining in your eyes. I get it, dude.
For sure. Actually, I've been to most major cities in America, but I had never been to Chicago. And probably, a week into training camp, I went out. I actually got to stay with Colin and in the suburbs. The place is beautiful, man. I mean, what a beautiful. I know it gets a little cold in the winter, and I'm an Arizona guy. I like my heat, but Chicago, I get it. Like I understand it because he's showing me places. I'm like, this place is badass. And then he's showing me the prices, and I'm like, this is way cheaper. I lived in California for a long time, even Scottsdale. I'm like, you guys, it is not very. We had a nice dinner. It was like $100. I'm like, this is Midwest living.
I know it's a sad commentary when you move to Chicago of all places and it's cheaper where you live, but I totally get it. I grew up there. The magic of Chicago for me was always, I grew up in the north suburbs where the Bears facility is. And it's where all of those 80s movies were shot, like Ferris Bueller and Breakfast Club and Weird Science and all those John Hughes movies, Home Alone, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. So I lived in those actual towns where those characters were from. And then if you go in the city, it's beautiful too. The only problem with Chicago as a city is that when it comes to professional football, they suck. But other than that, they've got a lot going for them.
Yeah, I want to dive into the Bears. What's funny is
great.
My wife, speaking about Home Alone, my wife showed me this video at the hotel in New York. You can get the ice cream sundae order that Macaulay Culkin ordered. And do you know how much money it costs?
No, I know that the McAllister family had big money, but I don't know the price. This is the Sunday at the Plaza Hotel in Manhattan.
This is the ice cream. Now they've done it up. They've added, it's like 18 scoops, but all the, it comes with hot caramel. But
it's going to be a lot.
It could feed a staff.
What's the price?
$450.
Oh my gosh! I was going to bet $200 for a Sunday. $450, and you can get the McAllister Sunday. Tim Curry doesn't bring it to you, unfortunately. But I would throw down with that. Here's a fun thing about that hotel. In the scene in Home Alone 2, Kevin McAllister jumps into the pool and loses his bathing suit. It's a funny moment. There is no pool at the Plaza. That was shot in downtown Chicago, in a different hotel. I know all about that stuff. You know me. I know stupid nonsense from the 90s. That's my wheelhouse.
What's funny is you're a couple years older than me, but I was born in the mid 80s.
Okay.
From Sylvester Stallone to Arnold to my two favorite movies as a kid by far were The Rock and Con Air. And the action movies, my wife, she's not as into it. I'm like, hey, you want to watch Demolition Man? She's like, what is this? I have, and we're watching, and I was thinking last night, we're watching the show Task. It's on HBO. It's actually pretty good through too. But the action movie and definitely the action star feels kind of dead. I mean, it definitely peaked in that group of guys that were it just doesn't feel like it's ever coming back. You could argue, and I've always said this about fame, like Michael Jackson or Michael Jordan or, even Elvis Presley. Pre-internet fame is a different level than whatever we got going on now, which listen, I built businesses based on the internet, so I'm not anti the internet, but it's a little different world. And I kind of miss those days of just when The Rock would come out and you knew every single human being you knew was going to try to see that thing.
I know. And I was thinking about this yesterday when we found out that Robert Redford died, is that there was a time when a Stallone movie came out or a Schwarzenegger movie that everyone you went to the theater. There was no conversation about it. You were going to see it. And the movie stars and the action stars, they weren't showing up in TV shows. They certainly weren't being in commercials. There was no internet. It was just once a year You would drive to the movie theater and pay $8 to $9, $10 to see that movie star, and then you'll see him again a year from now. It's not like, action movies now, John. It's like I could go on any of the streamers and there's like 50 different kind of okay movies where, like, I don't know, Chris Hemsworth is like kicking ass or something, or anybody. I don't even know who it is, and they're fine. It just doesn't have that same charm, and I miss those days a lot.
I even think about, you worked for Jim Rome.
Yeah.
And, I was born and raised in Northern California. So obviously Rome hit it big, but on the West Coast.
What's up, John? NorCal, how we doing, man?
There was nothing like it. So, someone in the late 90s, early 2000s, now back then he was talking a lot of baseball, but I just remember this guy talked sports for 3 hours, just talking shit. And he'd have like Mark Grace on, and he'd even have like Steve Elkington was an incredible golf guest, way ahead of its time. And I had no clue what he looked like. I used to listen to Loveline with Carolla and Dr. Drew.
Dr. Drew.
It was just a legendary, ahead of its time show. But you have no clue what these human beings look. I can't imagine listening to someone right now and not Googling them immediately and knowing their entire life story. It just was a simpler time.
It truly was. And you just drive in your car and listen. I was obviously Rome is a huge, huge deal to me, and it means a lot to me. But the Loveline thing was, I remember listening in my car, and it would be like, some girl would call up and she's like, well, I've been cutting myself because my boyfriend won't talk to me. And then Carolla would always go, okay, perfectly normal, perfectly healthy. And we'd laugh about it. I miss Loveline so much.
Really quick on Good Morning Football. I attempted to do some fill-in local radio morning show. And I remember thinking, like, this is not for me. Not that I'm not a morning person, but when you're in the entertainment business, whether it's TV or radio, you got to be peaking when that light comes on at 6 a.m. You've been doing it now, almost going on a decade, right?
This is my 10th season.
So you ever get used to it? What time does the alarm clock go off? Your schedule of eating, working out, your family.
It's nuts. It's a good question. When we started in 2016, I was getting up. I remember I would set the alarm for 4:12 a.m., not 4:15. Because like I needed those extra 12 minutes of sleep. But if I set it for like 4:15, like I needed the 3 minutes to get ready. It was that crazy. And now I wake up significantly later. Now it's still before 6. But back then I would have to get up and like prepare for 2 hours to do the show. Like I would sit there for 2 hours and think of what I was going to say. And now I can really kind of improv the stuff. But it is a lifestyle. And, I'm at the point, and John, you understand this, like where I will get messages online or just people who I meet in the street who were like, I'm young and I want to get into media and I have opinions about sports. Like, what should I do? How can you help me? And what I always say is just energy is something people are always looking for. Like the higher ups or the suits or the decision makers, energy is such an underrated asset. You can take all of the knowledge, you can be telegenic, you can be creative. If you go behind a microphone or a camera and you're low energy, it doesn't work. It's very difficult to be low energy and work. Whereas my thing, when I started on camera, I wasn't very good at the time and I didn't have a ton to say, but damn, man, I had high energy and you could feel it when I came out. So if you're starting off, energy, if they're in a decision, they're trying to hire somebody for a talk show or a podcast between you and somebody else, that other person might be brilliant and so insightful. But if you out energy them, it is really an equalizer. So bring it. And in a morning show, like you have no choice. You can't be boring in a morning show.
Do you have to think about, obviously, you're under the NFL umbrella. I was watching you on Dan Patrick probably a couple weeks ago, and you were talking, like, you've been critical, and I agree with you on the Tomlin thing of the Andy Reid kind of parallel. I think,
sure,
if he became available, he'd be the number one candidate for whoever needed a gig. So it's not like people saying he needs a fresh start means he stinks. He would immediately get a gig and probably have a lot of success. But when you broach those topics, you're on in probably every building, a ton of GMs, a lot of owners, any sort of, you've been doing it long enough now to kind of know where you can and can't go probably. But have you had some incidents where people have reached out and said, like, bro, that's not going to fly?
It's a really good question. And I have a really simple answer. And I have done almost 10 years and over 2,000 episodes of Good Morning Football on the NFL's media branch. And not a single time have I been told, don't talk about this, stay away from this. They really, really let me and let us do a show. I don't have directives where they don't say, stay away from officiating on this. Don't show this. Don't show this. I'm telling you, you know how I know that? Because in 2016, when we started, the whole point of the show, John, was like, hey, all right, let's get some morning energy and some fun and the positivity of football. And it's fun, 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 fun. And 10 minutes into our first season, Colin Kaepernick takes a knee, and it's all anybody was talking about. So we were baptized by that, and Trump, those SOBs calling them, and freedom and First Amendment. It was like, it was very important, but it was not terribly fun. And since then, I mean, we've been through anything you can think of, from Deshaun Watson to all kinds of, concussion research and prevention, the things that are really, really important topics and polarizing topics. We talk about all of it. And I promise you, I've never even so much as gotten an email saying, hey, we don't really like the direction you went on that. It's incredible. I promise it's true.
Okay, today's show is brought to you by our new presenting sponsor, Hard Rock Bet. It's week 3, and if you haven't tried your first bet yet on Hard Rock, there's still time for you to get 150 in bonus bets if you win. Just place a $5 bet. If it hits, you not only get your winnings, but 150 in bonus bets. Thursday Night Football is happening, AFC East. The Dolphins going to the Bills. I like the Bills big, not only to cover the spread, but every prop when it comes to Josh Allen. I think he goes nuts. Throws several touchdowns, runs for a touchdown. I like to have a massive game and dominate the Dolphins. We got big-time college football coming up. I do like a couple underdogs. I do think Auburn, who played Oklahoma really well last year, is going to be feisty in this game. I also think Texas Tech against Utah. I think Utah's pretty good, but Texas Tech had a bunch of guys come in the transfer portal. They've spent a lot of money on this team, as well as Tulane against Ole Miss. I like those underdogs to keep it frisky. Hard Rock Bet has new promos every day. This week's there's profit boost for 5 straight days of football. That's a Thursday night profit boost, a Friday college profit boost, another profit boost Saturday's college games, plus NFL Sunday, like the Steelers big that weekend, and Monday night, kind of like the Lions. Let's get it on. Well, let's hit on a topic because
okay.
I totally understand if I'm Tom Brady and Mark Davis reaches out, like, you want to own a piece? Like,
yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's a tough country club to get involved in. Totally understand when Fox reaches out, when Tom, I'm pretty sure, was still playing. Hey, you want about $400 million to call games with Kevin Burkhardt? I probably would have said yes, too. So both those two things, no one blames them for being involved. I do think for the first time, if I'm Andy Reid in my office or Sean Payton in my office, and I looked up on that Monday night game where I'm sure in their offices that game was going, and see Tom with a headset, their division specifically got a little uncomfortable. Even though nothing actually changed, we knew that he was a part owner. We knew that he's involved. Spy Tech talks about all the time. They talk. We know he's calling these games, but that visual, sometimes I believe optics can be pretty overrated, that word, but that was an optics where if I'm the Chiefs or the Broncos, you might not be my competition in 2025, but that was one of those things where it's like, whoa, guys, I don't know what's got to change, but this makes me uncomfortable.
I have so many different responses. The first one is like, all right, so Brady's involved and he's got the headset on and he's the greatest football mind ever. He's the greatest quarterback ever. First of all, why does the Raiders offense suck then? Why is it so terrible? They're in the home opener and they can't even score a touchdown. What is he even providing to the Raiders? Whatever he's getting from the other teams isn't meaning anything because the Raiders look awful. The second reason that everyone has such a visceral reaction to this is because we're back at that old classic of Tom Brady and impropriety. I mean, we rode that thing for a decade. The deflated footballs, the Spygate, like that was all the stuff that cooked for a while. And I've seen people being like, he's at it again. This is the Brady model. He's cheating. Make it a gate. Just slap the word gate on anything Brady does and we'll run with it. My last response is, you mentioned some people like Andy Reid or whoever it may be around the world. And they talk about these production meetings where that you meet with Tom Brady, apparently remotely only because he's not allowed in. If someone has a problem with this, then make a power move and say to the network, I will not allow Tom Brady to be in this meeting. I'm not comfortable with it. I don't think it's appropriate. Go ahead and say it. Make a stance. You may even end up getting fined or whatever, but it would stand for what everyone is talking about. Or screw it, you don't really care. And I think Brady's just sitting there listening. Don't really have anything to hide.
Yeah, it's a good point. I have a hard time seeing anyone probably draw that line because last time I checked, these networks pay a lot of money.
They sure do.
So, one thing I wrote down that's probably right in your wheelhouse. Let's use this analogy. Baker Mayfield. He's kind of like a childhood actor. When you're just a star in college. Heisman Trophy, and just on the scene. Lincoln Riley, Baker Mayfield, all these other NFL stars. People forget CeeDee Lamb, Hollywood Brown, Joe Mixon. I mean, his teams were stacked.
Yeah.
And he was the leader. Then he gets to the NFL, disaster. Kind of like having a drug problem or something. Just like, whoa.
This is great. I love
this. Now he is resurrected. I just watched the Charlie Sheen doc, which is quite the wild ride. And then now Baker Mayfield is just, you can't take your eyes off him. I mean, he's kind of got, I mean, we compared Mahomes to like the Curry Favre. Baker's always had a little bit of that to him. And, you know, it definitely disappeared in Cleveland and obviously Carolina. It feels like it's a little back, you know, that Favrean just kind of electric, lights are on, and it's fun. I don't know what to say besides Tampa's on, Baker's on. You got to watch because it's been a cool resurrection of his career.
So many things you just said there. I thought the perfect word is Favrean. And I know that Brett Favre's taken a lot of hits over the last few years, much to his own doing, and it's fine. But like, it's probably the most watchable NFL quarterback in NFL history. Like, if you were back then in the 90s, like, no one could take their eyes off Favre. It was pure charisma. It was all fun. It was all positive. And Baker has that going on. It's a child star analogy. Baker's now like the one who made it, though. Like, Baker's Jodie Foster, or Baker's Elijah Wood, or Daniel Radcliffe. Like, they are respected and they are on their own 2 feet and they're still doing amazing work, even though they were a child star. My Baker story is, for the last 2 years, I work like the Pro Bowl games. Okay. So people want to roll their eyes about the Pro Bowl. It's a really fun event to go to. I go down to Orlando. I take my son. We just mess around. And this year we stayed in the Players Hotel. I took my son out to Orlando. We went to every single go-kart, batting cage, video arcade place. Orlando is just a series of child attractions lined up next to each other. We get back to the hotel kind of late. It's the night before the big games the next day. Big lobby bar, loaded with people. I don't see any players except for one, who is Baker Mayfield, physically forcing people to put things on his tab. I got that drink. I got that drink. Pick up their drink. Pick up theirs. Not even like his teammates, just people around the bar. Next morning, we got to get up early for breakfast. Baker is in the breakfast restaurant at the hotel, working the tables like he's a groom at a wedding. And by working, I mean meeting kids, signing hats, comes to my table. Oh, is this your son? How you doing? I'm Baker. I'm not naive about this. I've been around athletes all the time. I have never seen someone hit it that hard at night, work the crowd, and then the next morning is like the president, and it's totally authentic. I loved it. There were no cameras rolling on him. He just did it. And I think that's what people are seeing on the field.
You know, we talk a lot about during draft time players and obviously tangible assets, like Caleb's got a big arm, or this guy can run really fast, or this guy's really tall. But I think the one cool part about like this era of Mahomes, Josh, Lamar, I'd throw Burrow in there. It looks like Herbert's really morphing into this, is like off the field. You know, you talk to Veach, you talk to Andy, the way they talk about Mahomes. He's 30 today, but like 5-6 years ago when he was younger, or obviously Josh or Lamar, how much people gravitate toward the human being. And, you know, it's hard during the draft period because most human beings don't know these guys. But like when these stories come out of like, something's a little off with this guy at quarterback, I know you're a big Josh Allen guy. Like, that's a really big deal. And, you know, when I think about the two best quarterbacks really of my adult life would be Peyton and obviously Tom. Tom's known as like the greatest teammate of all time. Not the greatest quarterback, but these guys that play with him. I know people that played with Phillip Rivers. They swear by the guy, or Matt Stafford. And I think that's a defining attribute of these guys. It's why these young players, like, we'll see with Caleb, we'll see with JJ, if they're going to be good enough. But that off the field can buy you more time when it's like, I love this guy. You see with JJ, like, are they going to splinter on him? Well, if they like him enough, they will give him a little bit of extra runway, even if it's as rocky as it's been.
Yeah, I mean, listen, access to franchise quarterbacks is so interesting, even if it's 10 to 12 minutes at a time, which it usually is, just to watch how they act and watch how they talk to people. Josh Allen is just a human Labrador. He's so lovable, and he wags his tail the whole time, and he's got this youthful energy. I'll tell you, John, the most interesting one I've ever been around. And it was last week, and I hung out with Joe Burrow. And I went to the Bengals facility. He's injured now. This was right before that Jaguars game. I flew to Cincinnati, went in the stadium, had never sat with Joe Burrow before, but I sat with him for almost 20 minutes. And I've definitely never interviewed someone like him. I don't think I've ever talked to someone like him in any walk of life. He straight up says to me on camera, he says, I have a hard time interacting with people sometimes. Like it's uncomfortable for me. And he says sometimes he gets judged by the facial expressions he has or the lack of emotion that he shows. And he is a guy who I think is kind of struggling to be comfortable in his own skin. And he's like, there's not a lot of people I can talk to about it because no one kind of has this type of life. Like, who can I go to? You know, I'm paraphrasing, but he's got the look and the fame and the money and all that. He's like, I'm like, who do you talk to? He's like, I'm friends with Kevin Durant. I talk to him. I run into Brady sometimes and I ask him advice. Odell helps me a lot. Like, he feels like a guy who is not the Labrador, but is trying really hard to be as professional as he can. These guys are so different, especially in a town like Buffalo, where you go to the grocery store, it's a national event, or Cincinnati even. Burrow is beyond fascinating. I hate that he's injured now, but he is a guy who is figuring out his way in life. I don't think it comes naturally to him, but I think he's making it work.
Yeah, that situation, I mean, just sucks as a consumer. I mean,
it's terrible.
Just like, they're just a fun team to watch. It's kind of the moment of the backup quarterback right now. We're going to get to Vice, your show. You sat with Kurt Warner. It kind of fits in this. I mean, no one. Now, he's even more obscure than Jake Browning was a starter on a playoff team in Washington. Yeah. You know, I mean, he was a heralded high school player. Kurt Warner, not a soul that loved football had ever heard of the guy unless you were, was it Northern Iowa or wherever the hell he played?
Barnstormers, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, you know, but this week you got Jaden's injured. You got JJ. I guess he was getting his ankle taped during the game, but it kind of had a Purdy feel where you just assumed everything was good. And then all of a sudden Monday morning, guy comes out and he's injured. Mac Jones is playing. A lot of backups are playing, which we can handle for a week, but you don't want to get to a spot where you got Monday nights and Sunday nights and all of a sudden backups are littered throughout the league. It makes me a little nervous because we're pretty early in this thing to already be at this point, right?
Oh man, I'm so pissed off. This is my least favorite topic, but it's an important topic. I understand as an NFL fan, we're going to get a Marcus Mariota game, Carson Wentz on whatever team he's on this year game. It's fine. We have to get these things in week 3. You can't even give us a month of clean football. I hate it. I don't want to see Jake Browning. I don't want to see Carson Wentz on the bike. I don't. I'm not ashamed to say it. And here's my other take on it. Remember this. People lose their bleeping minds about all these rules to protect quarterbacks. And this sucks. It's not football. You can't hit quarterbacks anymore. I will never complain about those rules. I don't care if you can't land on the quarterback anymore. I don't care that you can't touch his head. I know it's annoying, but it's not nearly as annoying as me watching Marcus Mariota start for Jaden Daniels. I don't want to see that. I want those rules in place. People are like, you got to loosen up the rules. Tighten them, if anything. I want those guys out there. It ruins our Sunday when they're not. That's my piece on it.
How much Tush Push talk have you guys had this week?
Tons. I can't get enough. I love Tush Push talk.
Okay, let's just dive in. I mean, I didn't necessarily care. I was kind of indifferent. I respect it. Like, they have this quarterback that can squat the house. I don't think most other quarterbacks. There was that play where Chris Jones jumps on him. He's so strong. He took Chris for a ride. And someone DM'd me like, well, if the backup could function. I'm like, I don't think Tanner McKee could have taken Chris Jones for a ride. I think he stops right there. So I think Jalen is a huge part of this. But you play college football. Very successful running back, correct? Part of playing football is on any given play, whether it's high school or whether it's the pros, it's unknown. You don't know what's going to happen. Trickeration on any given play, something crazy can happen. A play, you don't know what the offense is called. This is the most inevitable. Even a quarterback sneak is 100% not inevitable, right? You see it in college all the time. College quarterbacks are terrible at it. So they get stuffed. This is an inevitability. And that's where I think that, like, I understand people pushing back. It's just kind of boring to watch. If 10 teams could do this well, it would have been banned a long time ago because it'd just be boring to watch. Luckily, only one team, and they did a good job campaigning against it. You had Jason Kelsey come in, Howie. They're good at it. They're smart guys behind the Eagles curtain. But I do think that this moment in time, the Chiefs game, was like, this is probably the last year before, because we saw the momentum last year in the offseason. I just think this is a tough play to watch, even if they're abiding by the rules.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if they are anymore. That's where the record scratched for me.
Right? Yeah, you can't see.
Yeah. So I've got a long history of talking about this, and you used the word inevitability. it's pretty much an inevitability for Philadelphia. It's not for everyone else. Buffalo ran it a lot last year, and they were stopped twice in the title game running it. So it can be done against Buffalo. I don't know if it can against Philly. My quick rapid fire takedown of all the critiques of the tush push are very similar. People say, oh, it's a dangerous play. That's nonsense. It's less dangerous than a conventional running play with a running back up the middle because there's less impact. They say it's not football. Listen, we push as hard as we can. You push as hard as we can. That sounds to me like Princeton Rutgers back in the day who invented football. I don't mind it at all. I have fought for the tush push for a long time. I think it went someplace where I can't follow against the Chiefs because now half the line or all the line is false starting. That's just blatantly against the rules. Your helmet can't go and contact the Chiefs before the ball's even snapped, but it's such a cluster bleep in there that the officials can't call it. So that was the moment, dude, where it's like, oh, they're definitely banning this in the offseason. But again, it was only 2 games in. We got 4 months of them running that thing till the wheels fall off. And listen, Sirianni knows, like your kid who knows he's going to get grounded and lose his PlayStation, you are playing the hell of that thing out before they take it away. We're going to see it 100 times this year, and then they'll take it away.
I think the thing with Josh is, one, Josh is taller than Jalen, but it's got to be uncomfortable getting as low as Jalen gets where he's natural and comfortable doing it.
Yeah.
Josh did the normal. Tom Brady succeeded forever, and he was tall too.
Yeah.
Josh tries to go high, but it doesn't work. You have to disappear. You know, and I don't think any quarterback, I'm not disappearing into that thing. Jalen, for whatever reason, to me, he's the only individual that could run it at this clip, right?
Yeah.
Unless someone just has the balls, also the stature and the strength. It's just kind of a unique situation. Okay, I guess before we get to Vice, the Bears. I mean, they are.
Go on. Bears fans need a vice. They need about 50 of them. They need to be strong and illegal, and they need to be narcotics to get through this season. My God, what do you got?
When I was sitting there at Coward's house, I'm like, this area is just incredible. The entire Chicago's downtown, the lakes, the suburbs. You guys got it all. And then he's showing me on the map. I'm like, oh, that little place up there, Green Bay, has been kicking your ass for decades. And there's not a soul in America, if they could choose, like, hey, would you rather live in the suburbs of Green Bay suburbs of Chicago or go to live in Green Bay? Obviously, there's inferiority complex of how is this happening to us? And it's not even fair. And now the Packers, if it was college football, Kyle, through 2 weeks, I mean, I don't think anyone would hesitate or be questioning
number one,
putting the Packers number one.
Right? Yeah, they look good.
They've already been good, and now they look extra good. And the Bears, it's been pretty bad. I mean, you get a 50 burger put on you in the NFL. Again, Lions at home, Goff's good. You're watching them play. It's like, of course, they got better players than you. It's not even that crazy. But this does feel a little rocky early. The quarterback situation, the articles, just a lot going on. And it kind of feels like it's just the same thing over again.
It's absurd. I can't believe we're having this conversation. But I can speak on it, John, because I grew up in the Chicago area, but I also, from my old childhood, I would spend summers in Wisconsin, Door County, Wisconsin, way up north, or Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. I have so much love for Wisconsin. And I've said this to Packers fans' faces. They make me so frustrated and so sick because they are just trust fund fans. Everything is handed to them. They've never had to work for anything. Many of them have been, as long as they've been alive, all they've known is Favre, Rodgers, and now Jordan Love. Some of them are like, well, you don't remember back in the 70s. The 70s was 50, 60 years ago. That's your excuse. And you know what their comeback is to you've always had it good? They're like, well, we lose every year in the playoffs. In the playoffs, you lose. There's 20 teams in this league that would cut their finger off to make a wild card game, and you're complaining about losing in the playoffs. They are 1%ers. They're billionaires. They're trust fans. They're spoiled rotten. And it just continues this year where they're like, you know what? Let's just grab Micah Parsons right before the season, just like we grabbed Woodson and Reggie White. It's so obnoxious. I love those people, but they make me sick because the rest of the fans, especially Bears fans, have a coffee cup asking for change while they're up in the penthouse. It drives me nuts.
Do you have any hope that this season could turn out, or are we looking at like sell-offs here in a month of like, hey, Cole Kmet, DJ Moore? I mean, are you trading guys to restock the cupboard to like, hey, let Ben give him his Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay, even Matt LaFleur, and kind of let him shape this team over the next couple of years? We're lucky to get him. How do you approach this if they lose to the Cowboys?
I know
it'd feel like their season's over before October 1st, right?
Dude, it's worse than that. the defensive coordinator of the Cowboys is Matt freaking Eberflus, who they just fired because he was Ned Flanders as a head coach and they couldn't win anything with him. And he ran out of time in a game in which he still had a timeout. If they lose to Eberflus's defense, then they're really screwed. But I'm trying to, the word I'm using for Bears fans right now is recalibrate. Just chill out for a minute. They were thinking dream season. Oh my God, it's going to be a sensation. We're going to be 13-4. Relax. Let's check in. Maybe almost Thanksgiving, Halloween, maybe. But is Caleb playing well? Are they doing anything good? You can dash all that crap about we're going to win the North. That probably ain't happening. Let's see what we're doing 6 to 8 weeks from now. Can Ben Johnson really coach? Because if he can, he better start coaching his ass off.
Okay, Vice, you told Dan Patrick that this is the first time you didn't have to audition for anything. They called you, and you get to sit with legends and rewatch these games. A week from we're recording this on Wednesday the 17th, so the 24th, it's Titans Rams, which it's kind of crazy when you look back at that moment. Lorenzo Neal's a buddy of mine, and obviously he played a role in that and had an incredible career. And that Titans team 1 yard away, but the Kurt Warner story. I mean, there's not really been anything like that, in our lifetimes. I mean, this dude was bagging groceries, and then he just becomes a legendary Hall of Famer at quarterback, and that moment was, looking back, that team was loaded, but still, what was it like? And just tell me a little bit about the show.
It's really fun to do. It's really fun to watch. John, I don't know, me now in my current age, sometimes on a Saturday night when my kids go to bed and my wife goes to bed, I'm just sitting on the couch. I'll pull up an old concert and I'll just watch a concert on my computer or my phone. It could be like Pearl Jam in 1998 or whatever. And I'll just watch the whole concert. It's just nostalgia and it's fun. This show is like you're watching the concert with Eddie Vedder and he's telling you all about it as you watch it. You watch the old game. It's with players, fans, everyone who's involved with it. And they just talk shop. Oh, on this play, everyone thinks that this happened, but it didn't. And see how on the sideline there, the coordinator standing next to me, here's what we were talking about. It is the most fun way to relive old games. And this particular episode you're talking about, it's me, Kurt, Cedric the Entertainer, who's a huge St. Louis guy. It was the St. Louis Rams at the time. 99 Rams, most ridiculous, improbable story in NFL history. And yet you watch the game, dude. I find myself kind of rooting for the Titans because Steve McNair was so cool and they were just so tough. And they had just come off the Music City Miracle and they're 1 yard short. The funniest part about it is watching the game as Steve McNair is driving them down the field. Kurt Warner, watching it on the show, is openly nervous that they're going to score, even though he knows they're not going to score. He's freaking out like the Rams are still going to lose, and you can feel it watching it.
I watch a lot of like live music on YouTube, especially, it's the older you get. I used to hate my dad used to play music from his youth. And then you get older. I'm about to have my first child, thinking about all I'm gonna listen to is like music from the 90s. That's all he's gonna. And he's gonna be, when he's 10, it's gonna be like 2040. He's gonna want to kill me. But then hopefully maybe one day when I'm gone, he will enjoy that as well. But one clip from the Cowboys Netflix documentary that really stood out to me. There's like a training camp practice, and they are on a field that looked like where I went to elementary school. They're potholes,
terrible,
and there was just a rawness to the kind of internet financial boom that the NFL sees now, where everyone's facility, like a crappy facility, is still awesome. Yeah. And I kind of miss that era of like just the training camps. It was just different. And sometimes you watch these games from the 90s because you did the Cowboys game, right? The 95 game. Is that? Yeah. Football was just a little bit different. It was the NFL, the way they practice wasn't that much different than like the high school teams on the fields. It was all crappy. I mean, it was just, I just miss I just get nostalgic sometimes about sports. Especially
I get nostalgic about music, about sports, about everything. And Michael Irvin was on the show and he was talking about exactly what you're bringing up. He used to come out to practice and guys were just like getting ready for battle, not for games, for practice. And he would walk up and down the line of his own teammates and scream at them, "Who's going to outwork me today? Put your hand up if you're going to outwork me. Who's it going to be?" And it was like, they were ready to fight. And these are the same team. They're not even having another team there. And then they would just do like so much live hitting, so much live goal line. As it turns out, that was probably woefully unhealthy for their long-term health. But man, as a fan, it was really cool.
I mean, as a kid, Bill Walsh used to take the 49ers to Rockland in Sacramento in the peak of their dynasty. And I would imagine they weren't charging. You could just show up if you wanted to watch, I don't know, Jerry Rice and Steve Young sling that pill around. And those days, like if you want to get access to a training, you better be a VIP suite holder, or or like the Masters, raffle to get involved. It was just simpler times. That's all. That's all I want to say.
No doubts. No doubt.
I appreciate your time and looking forward to watching this. You and Kurt Warner and Cedric the Entertainer watch. That's a pretty classic game, and obviously changed the course of Kurt Warner's life and the rest of those Rams guys for the rest of their career.
And honestly, you know what? The funniest thing is about this, I thought I knew everything about that game. The twist at the end is that the Titans are driving down the field and it's McNair and it's Eddie George. And they're down 7 at the time. They get tackled at the 1 yard line, short of the touchdown. The question is, and this still follows them around, if they had scored, would they have gone for 2 and the win? Because they could have gone for 2 to win by 1 point. Jeff Fisher has kind of gone back and forth over the years saying what he would have done. Eddie George is saying we should have gone for 2 if we scored. We definitely would have gotten it. They were so exhausted. Can you imagine a 2-point conversion down 1 point with no time left in the Super Bowl for the win? It would have been the most electric play ever.
You would say, based on history, defensive coaches back then, pre-analytics, he probably kicks the extra point. I think it's easy to say.
And reading the game is like, we're beating the crap out of them. They are out of gas. Even somebody on the Rams, I was trying to remember who it was. He's like, oh, they would have got it. We were exhausted. If Mike Jones doesn't make that tackle, we're losing. And even if it went to overtime and they kicked, we would have lost. That is the biggest tackle in NFL history by far. And we talk a lot about it on the show.
Well, it's 100% a run play, right? Lorenzo Neal leading the whole, Eddie George getting the ball.
You know it,
bro. Okay, Kyle, have a good day, and looking forward to watching this next week.
John, I'm a fan of yours, man. I appreciate you having me on, truly. Thank you.
Thanks, Kyle. Same. Appreciate you.